Good evening, 7th grade, and tonight we're going to look at lesson 6-5 on proportions and percents. In tonight's lesson, we're going to be able to find the part of a whole, and you're also going to be able to find a whole amount. So, as a warm-up, they have these proportions, and we've worked a lot on these. You always solve them by doing cross products. So, we're going to go ahead to the first part. We can also use proportions to solve percentage problems. For example, I have this one up here. And they're very nice this time. They give us a picture. And it looks like I have 30 out of the 40, but I need to figure out what percent is that. So what I can do is set up a proportion. We have one talking about, we have a rate talking about percents, and we have a fraction here. So we can put those together. So we don't know what percent out of 100, but we do know the part is 30 out of 40. So you'd go ahead and put that together and do cross products. 40 times x is 40x. 30 times 100 is 3,000. Well, to get x by itself, you divide by 40, and you end up with 75. But this is a percent, so our answer is 75%. So here we just used a proportion to solve that problem. So here we have these two. Find 23% of 158. Now in this one, they give us a picture, which really does help out because they give us, here's one rate, here's the other one, and you put it together. 23 out of 100. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's always going to be 100 at the bottom because when we talk about percents, it's always out of 100%. And then here, the part is n, 158 goes on top, or excuse me, on bottom. And then I go ahead and solve that one. Well, 100 times n is 100n. 23 times 158 is 3,634. Divide by 100, and we get n is 36 and 34 hundredths. That'd be our answer. And again, we have this one. This time they don't give us a picture. So I'm going to give you this little clue here. All right, again, we know the percentage is 25 out of 100. But here, we need to figure out where does that 124 go? Well, whenever they talk about part versus whole, part is always on top, whole's on the bottom. Another way to say whole is the word of. So if they say of 36, of 50, of 124, that number goes on bottom. Well, if they use the word is, so this number is 34% or is 28. That goes on top. So here they say of 124. Well, of goes on bottom. So then you solve. 100 times x, and then 25 times 124. And you get 3,100, divide by 100 on both sides, and you get 31. So 31 is 25% of 124. One more problem to practice. What percent of 34 is 28? Round to the nearest tenth of a percent. Well, this time we know we're looking for the percent. So it's x out of 100. Now here we have that of and is. Well, of 34, so of goes on bottom, is 28, is goes on top. And we set it up just like that. And we solve. 34 times x is 34x. 28 times 100 is 2800. And we're going to go through those steps and just solve it. And you get x is, and I'm pulling out my calculator, 2800 divided by 34 is 82.4%. That would be your answer. And again, you will ended up with 82.35, but they wanted it rounded to the nearest tenth. That's why I rounded to 4/10. Now it's your turn. We have A, B, and C for you to do here. Go ahead and solve these problems, and when you're all done, come back and check your answer. Go ahead and do that now. All right, let's check your work then. So for A, 25% out of 100 of 124. So you solve that one. So you do 25 times 124, and then you're going to divide that. Oh, I think we already did that problem. We get x is 31. Here we have 43 out of 100 of 230. So 230 times 43 divided by 100 is 98 and 9/10. And then finally, this last one, what percent, so we know we're looking for that percent, of 250 is 138. Well, you do cross products again. And we're going to go ahead and solve for x by doing 13,800 divided by 250, and you get 55 and 2/10. Now remember, this is a percentage one because I asked what percent. So you need that percent sign at the end. All right. So sometimes, though, they're not going to give us the whole part. They're going to instead tell us pieces of it. So again, you solve using proportions. So here, 216 is 72% of what number? So they always give us a part really here to figure out the percentage. Now, 216 is, meaning that's not the whole. So that's 216 goes on top. The x is going to go on bottom because we have to figure out of what number. Of is always on bottom. And then we do cross products and solve. So you can see, oh my goodness. Oh, excuse me, I had a cough there. So you can see how this gets a little repetitive because you're always doing the same thing, really. You're filling in, or you're going to miss one piece, and you're going to have to figure out what it is using proportions. So 21,600 divided by 72 is 300. So the whole in this case is 300. All right, so I have A and B here. We're going to do A together, and then you get to do B on your own. 19 is 75%. I always do that percentage one first. It's the easiest for me to do. Of what number? Well, that of tells me that's on bottom, and 19 is on top. So get 1900 is equal to 75 times x. And divide that out. And you get x is 25 and 3/10 repeating. And so that is what we ended up with on that one. All right. And final piece is your turn. Go ahead and solve it, and when you're all done, check to see if you have the same answer. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so I'm just going to set this one up quick and see if you had the same answer. And I believe you get x is 313, and they want it rounded to the nearest tenth, so it'd be n 1/10. That would be your answer. All right, and finally we have a word problem, then we're all done for tonight. A tile floor has 90 blue tiles, which is 15% of all the tiles in the floor. How many tiles are in the floor altogether? Well, this is one we're going to solve using proportions again. Well, they automatically gave us our percent, 15%. Well, there's my 15 over 100. But now I have to figure out this 90 blue tiles. Is that all the tiles on the floor, or is that only a part of it? And if you read that first part again, a tile floor has 90 blue tiles, which is 15% of all the tiles. So 90 is only 15% of it. So that goes on top. And then we solve. And when you do this, of course, you're going to divide by 15 on both sides. And you're going to do 9,000 divided by 15. And you're going to get x is 600. And in this case, it's a word problem, so you need a label. So we have 600 tiles. All right, that is tonight's lesson. And here is a nice little overview of it. Just again, you can look at this, finding the percent. You're going to figure out what n over 100 is. If it talks about finding the part, well, then that's the part out of the whole. And here, if you're finding the whole, that got moved over a little bit. You're finding what the total is on it. So go ahead and have a good night. I will see you in class tomorrow.